Daily Ascent. I'm Molly Carmel, and this is the podcast I always wish existed. A bite-sized, on-the-ground spiritual note that can shift your thinking and your outlook on life to help make us all a little bit more awake, alive, and ascending. So today I want to talk a little bit about something I'm very proud of in my life, and also one of the things that took me the longest to build, which is consistency. Like the small, quiet, unglamorous practice of showing up for yourself every single day. Because I honestly, literally don't think consistency gets enough credit. I just don't. And a lot of people in my life talk about how consistent I am and how kind of committed I am to taking care of myself. But let me tell you something. This is a very hard earned part of my personality, and I was not born this way. I was not always this person. And I think it's really, really important to say that because for a lot of my life, I was incredibly unreliable. To other people, absolutely. Absolutely. Like you didn't know which version of me you were going to get. And I don't know if it's more painfully, but certainly very painfully as well, I was very unreliable to myself. I would make commitments and break them and not think much of it, right? I would start things and I would abandon them and not think that was a big deal at all. I would tell myself I was going to show up for something and then I'd get a hangnail and not do it. And that pattern, that quiet, repeated, hear it, self-abandonment did something to my sense of self that took years to undo, years. And one of the things that changed it was sobriety, right? And, stopping using substances and all the small disciplines that came with it. So would be like taking my supplements every day, taking the trash out on Thursdays, going to an exercise class when I absolutely don't want to, showing up to the things that I said I'd show up to, whether I feel like it or not. And none of these things sound particularly spiritual, but I am here to tell you that they have changed my life in ways that nothing else has. And what I learned was that every single time I do the small thing that I said I would do, and oddly, the one that maybe in the scheme of life wouldn't actually matter if I didn't do it, I'm actually making a deposit into a relationship with myself, right? Into myself, into my sense that I'm someone who can be counted on. Certainly by others. I mean, that's something I'm really proud of in the years that I've been healing. But more importantly, by myself, I can be counted on by myself. And I think of Danny, my beloved lab mix, and he's certainly a part of this, right? I mean, we walk every day, rain, cold, busy, tired, it doesn't matter. We go. And every time we do, something really quiet happens because I remind myself that I'm just someone who shows up. I have a large dog. He needs exercise, and that's the way it is. And if you're a parent, and I mean, you can relate to this on all different levels, I'm sure, right? But when we show up in this really beautiful way, we become a little more someone who keeps her word, a little more someone who loves herself enough to tend what matters. And that's what consistency actually is. It's not a personality trait that you have or you don't. I promise. I was not born this way, right? It's a practice, one small kept promise at a time. And so our pocket sage today, I'm really on a daily reader kick, Ascenders, because I love a daily reader more than life itself. And today's reading is from Karen Casey's Each Day a New Beginning. It's a great one. It's just a great daily reader. Highly, highly recommend. Here's what she says. Each action we take clearly indicates the person we are becoming. People need to be able to count on us for our part in completing their particular scheme for life. Each day, I need to pay heed to interests as well as duties. I will let no day go by without heeding an interest. Let me read that again for those of you in the back. Each action we take clearly indicates the person we are becoming. People need to be able to count on us for our part in completing their particular scheme for life. Each day, I need to pay heed to interests as well as duties. I will let no day go by without heeding an interest. How good is that? Each action we take clearly indicates the person we are becoming, right? Not the person we intend to be, not the person we tell ourselves we are. The person we are actually becoming. One action, one day, one showing up at a time. And so our word of the day is consistency. And consistency is just not that sexy, ascenders. It's just not, right? Consistency doesn't really make for a great Instagram moment, right? Because it's really the walk in the rain and the practice before the house wakes up and the things you do on the days that you don't feel like doing it. But it is, I believe, one of the deepest forms of self-love there is, and it is the way to self-esteem. It really is. Because here's what consistency actually does. It tells you something about yourself. Every time you show up for the thing that you said you would show up for, you're building evidence. Evidence that you can be counted on, that you're worth attending, that the version of you that made the commitment was actually telling the truth, right? That's how you can learn to love and trust yourself. And this reading is saying that our actions are not just things we do, they're declarations of who we're becoming. And every day we have the chance to make that declaration again and again and again, especially on the hard days. And so here's what I want you to think about today. The love you show yourself through consistency is different from any kind of self-love. It's not a feeling, it's a practice, and it builds something in you that nothing else can. And I really think about a lot what these small disciplines have given me, right? Like taking the medication, taking out the trash, bringing the trash cans in, right? Folding the laundry, showing up to exercise. None of that feels like self-love in the moment. In the moment, it just feels like doing the thing, right? But what it's built over time is a relationship with myself that I could not have any other way but doing it like this. And I will say a building quiet, deep trust and a sense that when I tell myself I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. And that I'm someone who shows up for herself and that I matter enough to tend to. And again, I was not born this way. And that's what real-time self-esteem building is. And it's not from big moments or grand gestures. Certainly there are big moments and grand gestures that can move that needle. But really, the ones that count are the trash on the Thursdays and the walk in the rain and the 10,000 small promises kept that add up over years to a person who's pretty reliable to herself and others. And here's what I've noticed about the things we tend to consistently. They grow. Not just the thing itself, but us, our confidence, our sense of our own capacity, the belief that we're worth the effort. And there is this quote from Danielle Laporte. I carry it in my soul. I literally do. I'm going to take it out of my soul and read it to you. She says, love yourself enough to be consistent. Sick, right? Get a pen out, make a bumper sticker, get on it, make a t-shirt. Love yourself enough to be consistent. I mean, most of my life, I reserved that kind of reliability for everyone and everything except myself. And I wasn't even that good at it for everyone else. And what I lost when I did that or I didn't do it was my relationship with myself. I want to tell you this with all the love in my heart. You matter enough to tend to. And the practice that you keep abandoning when life gets hard, it really deserves the same commitment that you give to everything else. Not because you're going to be perfect at it, quite the opposite, but because every time you show up for it, you're telling yourself something true. You're saying, I am worth this, especially these little teeny things. And over time, if you keep saying that to yourself through actions, you are going to start believing it. Pinky swear on that. So here's my reflective question for today. What is one small practice you could commit to today? Not because it's easy, but because you are worth attending. And I am right here with you, Ascenders, showing up for ourselves one small kept promise at a time. And listen, let's get the ascent out into the big, beautiful world. They need us. So listen, share this, Tell your bestie, tell the person on the coffee line, invite the ascenders into the crew. The more the merrier, because we rise together. Until next time.